So in today's Dice Commando video, we're talking the Decimator Great Axe and whom is the right choice as the hero to wield that weapon. Now, there is no deck list for today. That said, what I want to do is I want to compare the historical favorite Olympia with Dorinthea, who's been doing very well also historically, but I think maybe is just the right choice going forward. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey, my flesh and blood friends, and welcome back to Dice Commando. That's right, coming to you midweek, every week, most weeks, with commoner videos. And today specifically, I want to talk the Decimator Great Axe and whom I believe to be the right wielder of said axe in the commoner format. Now, it's kind of interesting, right? Because the Decimator Great Axe itself has been the weapon that has given the warrior class the most success over the last year and a half or so. Now, the Decimator Great Axe was released in Dusk Till Dawn, but didn't really come to the forefront until really heavy hitters, right? When Warrior got a bunch of functional support. And coming out of that, Olympia was kind of the poster child for that, right? And, successful Decimator builds have been built around both heroes. In fact, me personally, my personal experience, I've run up against some really good Dorinthea players with this. And so there's obviously some inherent bias there with what I've played against in close games and lost to and all that. But I would say overall, and we've also seen, the data from top eights, Olympia is just ever so slightly preferred by the wider community. And that's largely due to the extra 2 armor from his headpiece, the Gallia, right? I mean, he's an Olympia, he's a gladiator, Roman, he gets the thing, right? He gets the nice frothy thing, anyway. So it's been interesting to watch these two decks evolve because Dorinthea, again, like I kind of alluded to, I think she is functionally the better hero, threatening the second swing. But we can't ignore 2 health in commoner, right? Which is only a 20 health format, and you've got stabby stabs coming all the time. And I do believe that's been enough to give him just an ever so slight advantage in terms of the top cuts. That said, with the Blade Beckoner series in the Hunted, I believe it's now enough to close that gap and that Dorinthea may be the advantaged build. So when I talk about the Blade Beckoner series, I'm referring to, that we got one for each slot. And these are pretty cool with Guardwell. So the way these work is you could either block, because it's one with it's one with Guardwell. So you put counters unequal to what you block. So you could block a weapon for 2, or you could block something for 1 and then block a weapon for 1. You get it, right? Because it gets +1 when it blocks the weapon. But and you would have to do it in the order that I said, in order to 1 and 1. Because if you did weapon first, you'd get 2. But either way, that's pretty good. Now, if we look at these 2 heroes and what they're running, there's nothing that Dorinthea today. There's nothing that Dorinthea could run that Olympia can't, but not vice versa. So Olympia would certainly run his helmet because it's a 2 and then a 1 with Battle Worn, right? With Temper, excuse me, not Battle Worn. With Temper, oh my God, can you imagine if that had Battle Worn? Oh, with Temper. With Temper, that's very relevant. But you get my point. Okay, so he gets the 2 and then the 1 and it's gone, right? Now, Dorinthea runs, well, both of them run right now, or I should say pre-hunted. They run Refraction Bolters, which is Battle Worn 1. They run Gallantry Gold and the 5th slot, which is Battle Worn 1. Then, the Decimator builds were running one of 2 things. They were either running, the Vigor Blade, I forget what it is right now, but it's the Vigor Blade Break, where you can either defend for 1 or you can pop it for a Vigor token. Or the Decimator builds were running Deep Blue. Most of them, I think, were running Deep Blue, because then if you get an all red hand, you can still do your thing. Yeah, you get it. And then the head slot. Now, in most cases, Dorinthea was running just a 1 Blade Break, because that's what you had, right? But now she gets 1 more. So the question as it exists today is does what Olympia brings to the table when he was sitting down with 2, it's pretty good. Now that it's only 1, because again, they run all the same things, or they have the access to all the same things -1, is that enough? So let's talk the advantages and disadvantages of each. Now, Olympia's got a couple, I mean, obviously the headpiece is his primary advantage, but he also has another in that he has the wagers, and you feel that you need to block the wagers. The thing is, though, remember that the wager cards are not Olympia specs or anything like that. It's just that they synergize with his ability, right? And what I'm talking about is Dorinthea could run these as well. And what I'm talking about is like edge ahead and stuff like that, right? You come in for, assuming you have 1 to pitch, you can come in for 7 and make them want to block. And of course, Decimator Great Axe disincentivizes blocking or gives you value when they block, right? And that's why, you know, we've talked about this many times in the last 2-ish years, that I functionally believe that going aggressive with the Decimator Great Axe is actually the correct answer, because you want to get to a space where they want to block, right? Because then their blocks get less value, as opposed to just being like, block, right? Both are, to be clear, both are valid, and there may be an inflection point in all of your games where you have to flip. But coming out of the gate, you want to go aggressive. And that's why like edge ahead and stuff like that work really well, because they're like, well, I don't want to give you the vigor token. Well, I don't want to give you the agility token because I know you're playing, right, a 0-4 or a critical strike or something like that, where you're going to come at me again. Very good. Now, yes, Olympia gets the gold off of that when you hit, but in early constructed, Olympia got a benefit from that out of something like cash in. That's gone now. I am hoping that Olympia will eventually get a spec that functionally is that. Let's hope. But he doesn't have that in this format. So really all you're doing is utilizing his gold in some really bad scenario to try and bail yourself out. And if we're being honest, you probably should have just blocked anyway, right? But flip that around. So my argument here is he basically has a blank hero ability, and what you're playing him for is the Gallia. So before, 2 health, maybe that was worth it. Now that it's only 1 health, I think, actually, I don't think, I'm pretty confident that Dorinthea is now the right choice, because that vigor token, the agility token, turns into a must block if she's got 2 cards in hand. Well, 1 remaining after the swing. You get my point. With 2 blues, that's a must block. That's pretty good. And they can feint, and like you can actually get some playmanship out of that. I think that's pretty good. And remember, she can still run. Like if you're like, well, the reason I like Olympia is because of the wager cards, she can still run them. She can still run them. She just doesn't make a gold, but she can still run everything. So I think that second swing threat off of a vigor, or remember you got refraction bolters, whatever it may be, I think that's really good. Because if they take 4 to the face, remember, it's so Decimator, remember, I'll put up Decimator again, it's only the first time they do it. So, you know, if you come once and they block and you hit and you Iron's Iron response, whatever, the next time their next one doesn't get halved. Okay? But you're coming in again. Now it's 2 blues, plus a go again. I get it. But I think functionally, Dorinthea is better. Long run. And especially when you get to the end and you have nothing but blues and your refraction bolters are up and they can't afford to, they have to throw 1-2 because of a D rate. They have to throw 2 cards at least, either stop you from hitting or they have to let you hit and then deal with it later, which seems worse. It's pretty hot. I like it. So anyway, I would be very interested to hear y'all's opinion on this. I think that the 1 value now favors Dorinthea. When it was 2, fair argument. But now that it's 1, let me know what you think. Nothing else, folks. Go Commando.